Hey everybody, this is PD from the Spinner Rack, and today I'm doing a video on the Great Lakes Avengers. And this video will not have Squirrel Girl in it. Sorry, even though I'm a big fan of Melita Van Traub. Not doing it. She's not the real one, and I'm not accepting anything. I'll say I bought this for them, but they changed the name in this, but I put it up there just in case. This is kind of where people got the hint that, hey, they're just not, lame characters that can't measure up to X-Force. They're, there's some humor to them. That's when the, actually the fans kind of got it because it was in Deadpool. But it wasn't supposed to be totally humorous. They're supposed to be like a regular group, but at the same time, they really new at it. So they kind of take on these simple names where we have Mr. Immortal, Flatman, Doorman, Dinosaur, and Big Bertha, right? So this is the now originally when Byrne talked about it, he did talk about he said there'd be some new characters. A group would come and then two would stay. And the two he's planning on staying was Doorman and Dinosaur. They were going to stay with the West Coast Avengers, but I think it might have gotten a little crowded, or the plan would be very late in the run post Scarlet Witch going through her struggles. And the cover for this was actually supposed to be the Human Torch. He was supposed to be back in this issue. And when I went to the comic store, there was a preview magazine. I had never seen it before. And I opened it up and I saw this. And I was just like, is this, in hearing, Byrne's interviews and talking about creation and creating characters and all that type of stuff, and hearing him kind of struggling with the Alpha Flight, is this him kind of creating in the right way rather than what he had done with the Alpha Flight? So I was surprised. It's something I hadn't figured out, even though he hinted that new characters were gonna come in and stay with the group. I had no idea. And it's sort of the period post the Justice League, the Keith Giffen and Demetis, because they kind of brought in the humor stuff, and then Marvel followed suit with what the She-Hulk. Well, there was already talks of the She-Hulk, so when Marvel did what the Byrne was kind of doing to She-Hulk, and Byrne had some light stuff. There was a lot of heavy stuff in the West Coast Avenger. This was kind of the light moment, but it's not full-on comedy like the She-Hulk, right? So let's kind of get to it, right? We're just going to go through their appearances by Byrne, and then I also got a production print of the cover, because I don't know, I'm just a big fan of it, right? Oh, so I guess the last thing, one of the other bits I'll try to do it from memory, because Byrne just talked about the characters on his website, saying that Mr. Mortal was a 20th century explorer that gets cursed by dinosaurs people. We have Doorman, who's who's a scientist that went through a teleportation experiment going wrong. Flatman was trying to be like Reed Richards. He was a big fan. And Big Bertha was a character I can't explain yet. We'll find that out later. Because all the other characters, we don't get any bits on how their powers work, right? So open, and then Mike Macklin is doing a very thick line on here. This is right before he started. Well, no, he did a deadline in issue before that. I think Marvel might have had the issues in the drawer and then gave him a bunch. But this was a really nice one that he did. There's another one that's pretty nice. It was very extra heavy. But this one I think works as much as the first three, right? And he comes in there, it's a bank, it's action packed. You see him get hit, and it just was kind of a total surprise, right? Kind of the extra athletic body. So Byrne was moving away from his like really slim figures, right? And he gets hit by these guys, and it's kind of an accent that he has, right? We only get a hint of what his personality is like. But then we see this little ribbon that kind of comes out of nowhere. This heavyset woman that busts in. We see an impression. We see Dinosaur, who became my favorite, who of course Marvel killed later. And I think Bertha can take a shotgun and knock it back at the people. And the ribbon is going around there again, right? And then the character that was shot wakes up, he's healed. It's a common bit that used to be done with Wolverine, which is never done post Byrne. But he kind of goes a little real berserk, and they can't calm him down. So you get Dinah, and she kind of stops it, right? And then they meet the crowd, and they're the Great Lakes Avengers. And Hawkeye, who's just been, he left the team, even though he felt he was kicked out, even though he was just demoted. He's getting ready to go see what's up with them, but he's like, nah, I'm moving on. And then we see Bobby, his wife, Mockingbird, and he is like irate. And this is where we kind of clear up everything that happened in Englehart Run, because they're kind of forced apart. You know, she gets mind control, she kills someone, they kind of like, she shouldn't have done that, they're at odds, and they ultimately break up. And I think Byrne wasn't too happy about that, so he kind of pushed them back together. So she comes in there, she explains what she went through, and then they say, hey, we gotta go, and she tells us she still loves him, right? So then we have this sidebar, right, where we have the new leader, who's not actually the leader, the watchdog for the West Coast Avengers, the U.S. agent. And he's eating, and you can see, even though he's a little nuts, he is pleasant at times. And there's a mouse that comes out of nowhere, and that means Tigra. This is a great shot of Tigra right here. Right, you can see almost a fur on her. It's really cool. And then this is the cat moment between them, where he grabs her and she goes nuts. And then he smacks her and she runs off, right? And he's got to figure out something about that. So tell me why I'm doing this. This is Hawkeye talking. Sorry, I never go through the ads. I just kind of tune them out. And Bobby Mockingbird is kind of like, you told me that you were ready to go check him out yourself, right? They said that last night, so they spent the night together. So it sounds like things are coming back together, right? And there's something set up for the Great Lakes to come out. Then they go Avengers Assemble. They're quick to action. They're jumping around. And Dinosaur immediately gets caught by someone that we can only guess who it is. He has a bit where he talks about going through Doorman, who stands next to the door. And I think this was a bit that for Kitty Pryde at one point, people were saying she could stand by something people could possibly go through her. Let's keep going. She gets captured. They hear the whistle, so she knows she's in trouble. They Big Bertha. She is able to leap real high to spring. And we know it's Hawkeye. Bertha goes back to the ground. Hawkeye won't try to talk to him and kicks him in the face. He doesn't believe it's Hawkeye. The Mockingbird comes out of nowhere. He still doesn't believe either of them. So he decides to go and kill himself, right? And Mockingbird is not happy about this. And Flatman comes and they realize it's the real Hawkeye and Mockingbird. And they meet Big Bertha, right? She's not big anymore. Right? That's in the shot, even though it's a small one that I liked. This is her headquarters. She's a fashion model. But they're serious at being superheroes, right? And I think Byrne, what did Byrne say about her? That she was a model that was obsessed with trying to be thin, and an experiment, of course, that goes wrong, she becomes big, right? And then Doorman actually gets what they mean, and they say, hey, where do we get off calling ourselves Avengers, right, Mockingbird? Right? And then Hawkeye looks at it and says, hey, they could be a heck of a team. And then a little bit, which is going to lead to the story that we're not going to do too much on, because we're going to just skip to the West Coast Avengers, right? We're going to stick to sticking with the Great Lakes Avengers, right? They're going to be sent. She's going to be sent over to these weird guys that trick her, right? So we have that one. So we're not gonna. I guess we have to get into this thing. All right. Scarlet Witch has been taken over by this thing that's from the past. It's this thing that's in all of us that kind of gives us our get up and go, like sort of like DNA, but a thing that's in like every one of us that moves from organism to organism and decides to pick who is going to be that kind of dominant species, right? But it has this collective that we don't know, and the collective of all these people, and they put their thing on to Wanda. Now this is extra thick Mike Michael. Like this is him just kind of really covering Byrne, right? He's keeping the faces, but it's really heavy. So he's gone from a dead line to kind of a heavy line to really slick, almost Joe Sinnott type inking, right? So he's kind of going through what it was original style to a thicker line to this very slick line, right? And we had the subplot of Nebula and Star Fox went after her. They're still doctoring up Wanda. And we get the hint of another subplot that's going to lead to the Human Torch. And we find out that the Vision is here, and they're not sure where Wanda's at right now. Right? But the Avengers aren't going and starting. So it's still hinting of what this thing is within her. So, right? We're just kind of speeding through this. The Captain, and they're going to get this is more Vision bits. I'm going to have to cut through this because it's not going to be clear to the story. But just know that she's been mind controlled. This thing that which endures is within her. And they're going to make themselves rightful masters. Captain She-Hulk put the work in. They're trying to find the Scarlet Witch, and they figured that they don't really know. They haven't looked. They've looked. Their luck has run out. She's used her powers against them. And now, then, here we go. Here's a shot of them where Hawkeye's trying to train them. This is like almost an X-Men type scene where they're just like failing. Now, this is where he was the leader of the team, but he had some more dominant alpha in Wasp and Hank Pym. So they kind of took over the leadership. So now he's with kind of some junior superheroes. So he's trying to train them, right? So they hear something's going on. So they're going to take the Great Lakes out for this baptism of fire. Sorry. Right? Here am I, 15? Going okay. So this is going to be all, right? So we know that Scarlet Witch is mind controlled. So there's a lot of stuff in this issue, right? But we get the Great Lakes in the corner box. Hopefully I can find that online. Right, so they've been taken out. And they're gonna indoctrinate She-Hulk and Captain America. Right? So they realize in taking this plane, even though it's a jet, it's nowhere fast as the Quinjets. Right? And I love this shot here. Right? But there's some tension between Mr. Immortal and Hawkeye, who's kind of taking the team from them. And we got another subplot of that and stuff with Sawanda and Wonder Man. The mullet came before Byrne. And he gets to run into even more feline like Tigra. But there's too much storylines going on, right? And he gets attacked. He turns into small. He's not sure what he can do with her during this period because he has no way to fix her, right? So Cap and She-Hulk, they're kind of like, they don't know where they're at, but they felt like they were kind of She-Hulk has been taken over. They're not sure what happened, right? So Cap, She-Hulk is on their side, but Cap is not. Right? So we got Vision has been sitting around doing nothing. So he decided they were trying to kind of figure, their hook was they were trying to figure out the She-Hulk, the Vision, and he realized it was total ruse, right? So he escapes, and then he connects with the Great Lakes Avengers. And he kind of listens to the name, and he said, wouldn't Midwest be more appropriate? He said, well, I didn't name them. So then they fly over to finish up the job, right? They realize here, this thing that's within everybody, it doesn't work on Captain America because he has the super soldier serum that's replicating in his body, right? And they kind of hinge this whole thing of evolution through this thing. This thing is passengers constantly choosing, but then the Great Lakes Avengers come into play, right? And they take out all these people. The Vision is happy with them, but the Shield comes out of nowhere, right? She's going up against Big Bertha. Big Bertha has the element of surprise. They're going in to stop these guys. They got Scarlet Witch. And Mr. Immortal is in the section where they are utilizing this stuff. He said, but the radiation is going to kill him. He said, I'm immortal. You threaten me with death, and dying's what I do best. He said, the fool, right? And the She-Hulk tosses Big Bertha, and she's ready to fight, but it's gone. Whatever it was is gone, right? And everyone that's there, they're in the fog. Mr. Mortal's dead. They clear out the container to take him out. You see, he'll be up in 10 minutes, right? So they hint that this story is bigger than it possibly was shown, right? So this is that's the first kind of full story of them with the Avengers. I just have one other bit before we get to the Deadpool. But it was like in this book, like 3 pages of the training, right? So we have Great Lakes Avengers, right? And they're going to test these guys. He has all this stuff. It's very low rent, right? They're going to test all this stuff. doing their thing. Hawkeye decides to add some pitfalls in it. And Mr. Mortal falls into Doorman, right? And this has never happened before. So Dinah goes after to save him. Two people inside of him, and she finds him, I guess, with sort of a radar sense. And he's like, cold, so cold. And it left with this cliffhanger. And do a battery test on him, right? So then, of course, Byrne is pushed out of the team, out of the Avengers, like many before him, like Simonson, Roger Stern, and later Larry Hama. So we heard nothing else from the Great Lakes Avengers till this Deadpool issue came out, right? And of course, we had Deadpool talking to camera. This is before Squirrel Girl started with them. I don't want to get into this. In the movie, I think I'm not sure what complexion she is, right? I think she's a white character. And then we had this dark scene with the Great Lakes Avengers. This is going to show up the page because I was just happy to see them in this. But I was upset about something going on here. All right. Another ad. Oh, that's not an ad. Hard to tell. And they show up, and then, of course, Joe Kelly had them rename themselves. For what reasons, I don't know. But them do another gag. So now they're following their lightning rods, and they're doing their thing, and they take out Deadpool's guns and stuff. Yeah, this one. Yeah, it's pretty bad. All right. So there we go. We'll just skim through that one. But when it first came out, it was a lot of fun. And then now they kind of, whatever Marvel wants to do with them. But they at least realized they were supposed to be fun. Actually, as this was going on, the Great Lakes Avengers would give themselves a new name. They were supposed to get a new name, which was the Avant-Garde. Right? So there you go. Great Lakes Avengers. Spinner rack out.